Welcome to day 20. Over the past several days, we've looked at mood patterns, personality patterns, and behavioral patterns. Each one is powerful on its own, but when you start to see how they fit together, something important happens. You begin to understand the bigger picture of why you do what you do. You can get the full emotional self-assessment, my book Heal Your Emotions, and my complete toning guide on my private resources page. I've posted the link to all the material below. Think about these patterns like 3 layers of the same landscape. Moods are like the weather, shifting and changing, sometimes bright, sometimes stormy. And personality patterns are like the terrain, mountains, valleys, and rivers, shaped over years of experience and belief. And the behavioral patterns are like the roads and pathways you travel every day, often without thinking about where they lead. When you look at only one layer, you get part of the story. But when you see all 3 together, you start to understand why you end up in the same places again and again. Let's walk through an example. Imagine you have a mood pattern of low-level anxiety, a background hum that's been with you for as long as you can remember. That mood might feed into a personality pattern of needing to please others because saying yes feels safer than risking conflict. And those 2 layers together might lead into a behavioral pattern of overcommitting or taking on more than you can handle, ignoring your own needs, and feeling resentful or burned out. Here's another example. Maybe your mood pattern is one of sadness or emotional heaviness. Your personality pattern might lean toward withdrawal, keeping to yourself so you don't burden others or risk rejection. And that could feed into a behavioral pattern of staying home more often than you'd like, turning down invitations, and spending more time in front of a screen than in real-life connection. When you begin to see your patterns, mood, personality, and behavior, you may also begin to see where you can step in and create change. You don't have to tackle all 3 layers at once. In fact, it's often easier to start with the layer that's the most visible and accessible. That might be a behavior pattern, like saying no when you mean no, or pausing before you pour another drink. Or it might be the mood layer when you practice a simple grounding technique when anxiety rises. Sometimes it's a personality layer, softening a pattern of self-criticism by practicing self-kindness, even in small doses. The beauty of this approach is that one shift creates a ripple effect. Change a behavior, and the mood behind it begins to shift. Soften a mood, and the behavior it fuels starts to loosen their grip. Expand a personality pattern to include more flexibility, and suddenly your moods and behaviors respond differently. It's important to remember that these patterns, they didn't form overnight, and they won't dissolve overnight either. They're often the result of years, sometimes even decades of repetition. But the good news is that your brain and nervous system are built to change with awareness, compassion, and consistent practice, the pathways you've traveled for years can be replaced with ones that feel freer, lighter, and more aligned with who you are now. One of the most helpful things you can do at this stage is to watch for recurring links between your patterns. For example, every time you feel shame, which is a mood, or you shut down, your personality, and avoid eye contact, which is a behavior, when you feel restless, a mood, you overcommit, a personality, and end up overworking, a behavior. When you feel lonely, it's a mood. You reach for food or alcohol or substances, it's a behavior, because your personality pattern avoids direct vulnerability. Seeing these patterns clearly, it's not blaming yourself. It's gaining clarity and insight. And the clarity is what allows you to choose differently. It's also important to notice that some patterns might have protected you in the past, but now they keep you from living the life you want. A behavior that once kept you safe may now be keeping you stuck. Recognizing that can feel bittersweet. You're grateful for the protection it once gave, yet ready to let it go so something new can take its place. Today, I want you to take a quiet moment and think of one pattern in your own life. Start with a mood you've noticed lately. Then ask yourself, when I'm in this mood, how do I tend to relate to people and situations? That's your personality pattern. From there, ask, what do I usually do when I feel and relate this way? That's your behavioral pattern. Write it down if you can. Even a simple sentence, like, when I feel anxious, I try to keep everyone happy, and I end up saying yes to things I don't want to do. That's a complete pattern loop. And when you can work with any part of it, you're ready to take what you've covered today even further. So just visit my private resources page. You'll get the full emotional self-assessment tool, my book, and a practical toning guide for interrupting stress and restoring balance on the spot. Just click the link below. It's all there for you. Tomorrow, we'll begin talking about what to actually do with this awareness and how to start making changes that will last. We'll look into small, manageable shifts that can create real freedom without overwhelming your nervous system. You'll learn how to experiment gently with new patterns so that changes feel safe, natural, and sustainable. For now, just focus on seeing the connections. You've already done the work on noticing moods, personality traits, and behaviors separately. Now, you're learning how to weave together. The more you see the threads, the easier it becomes to untangle the knots. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, make it a great day.